I mean, there could be another bench. I don't know if that's something that would fit into the project as opposed to a bridge. Maybe a couple benches
Actually,
along that.
John, it was a pavilion that got burned down. It was at the northern elbow on the shore. I can't think of any place for a bridge along there either, but Tara might have an idea about on the north Main, 65 Main Street property down in by the river, which is, I don't know, there's going to be a American Chestnut is looking at that site, and it looks like things are going to move forward on 65 Main Street. So I can't think of any place that needs. I can think of places that need bridges, but not one that you can build out of plywood. But
Again, I know
along that path that you just talked about, John, there's that the mill race that and there's gears, and there are all sorts of neat things that you could do some research on and talk about.
There was a bench that was destroyed over there because I reported it a couple months ago at one of the meetings. The pieces are still on the ground last I knew, but
Mm.
Is that the one that's actually on the trail behind Drafters? Not the paved part, but the dirt trail.
yes.
Yeah, I took a picture of that when I went by there.
Yeah, there used to be a couple of them on that trail. I think there used to be two, but one might still be there, but the other one got destroyed. That was further up the trail there.
Now, this is over by the lake, though. This is across the street.
Yes. So I mean, I don't know, what does anybody else think as far as that? I mean, a couple benches on there. I mean, I don't know about a bridge. There is a tree that's halfway down on that one, but I wouldn't want you to touch that one, Caitlin, because it's what we call a widowmaker that's there. It needs to be cut down. That's right where the pavilion is. That right where you were talking about, Charlie. There's a tree that's just hanging right there.
Mhm.
That needs to be cut, but you need something to get up there and cut it. Not, I think that's a lot.
I think benches is a good idea.
So Caitlin, maybe if you want to go up there and research that and see where maybe a bench or two or something like that. I don't know what your cost estimate is, and I don't know what your timeline is. We don't meet again until June, I believe, after tonight. But we could have another meeting if you had an update for something in between.
I can look at an estimate. I can come back to you guys and let you know.
Is everybody good with that trail? I mean, I'm not hearing a lot of feedback.
I think that's a good idea. I mean, she said North Grosvenordale. Sorry, I came in a little late in the middle, but I think that makes the most sense. And maybe you start at the library, and then I don't know how many you're looking at, but then go back down in that direction. I think to tie it into the library would be a good idea, the literacy component, or end at the library, one or the other,
You know where we're talking about, Caitlin?
I think so.
Okay.
So,
Well, it runs
Well,
along the river,
yeah.
and it starts at the library and it goes all the way up behind the Knights of Columbus. So that's the trail. Look at that one. And again, if you can make it work to end at the library or to start at the library, whatever you think works best, that might be something real good, because a lot of kids go to the library, so they might go with their parents to, check out your storybook trail.
right.
If you need someone to show you the area we're talking about, I'm sure one of us could at some point, if you're not familiar.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you want to stop by the rec office a day after school or something, I can at the town hall, I can walk you over there. I'm the rec.
'Cause I think I know what you're talking about. But just double check.
Okay. If you have any questions, or between now and then or something to that effect, then let me know. The other thing is, if we do have is it okay, Karen, if we have another meeting in between, if she has some updates on that?
Yeah, sure.
I
If
mean-
people are available. Oh, just so she knows, most people on this committee are available on Monday nights. So I'll just put that out.
Right.
I mean, as opposed to the rest of the week when people have other commitments. Yeah.
And we need 2 weeks
Okay.
notice or something? Week?
I have to post it about a week ahead. Let everybody know. Yeah.
All right. Do you need anything else from us,
Okay.
Caitlin?
I mean,
no,
you've got John's contact info, and you can find me on the website if you need to call me. If John's not available, I can go down there too with you. So, okay.
okay. Thank you. I think that's
Great.
all I have for right now.
Okay.
Well, thank you for thinking of trails to do the project, Don. We appreciate it.
Thank you for letting me share. Thank you.
Night.
Have a nice night.
Stay safe.
Any other citizens comment?
Hey, Karen,
Any
just
other
to
citizens?
step back on the finances, I wanted to mention that I submitted a final contribution effort from Walmart to Marie today, since last week was my last work day. I still had put in another 25 hours since our last check, so hopefully we'll get another $250 check from Walmart, but that'll be it.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is Lyanne. I have something. I got an email
Yes.
from Lois. There's some kind of a relay race going through Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut.
Yeah.
The race starts in Lincoln, Rhode Island,
Yeah.
and it goes through 20 towns in Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Connecticut, passing along rivers, forests, and shaded trails. Begin with a wave start on Saturday morning, August 28th, and cross the finish line in the evening, surrounded by teammates on the Connecticut River in Hartford. There's 18 total segments. The relay will include 2 major exchange zones in Putnam and in Willimantic. Expect some logistic changes as exchange zones and additional requirements to address participants' health and safety. 85% of the course is run on Blackstone River Bikeway, Southern New England Trunkline Trail, Fairline State Park Trail, Hop River State Park Trail, and the Charter Oak Greenway. A small portion of the course travels on roads. I don't know if that's the Thompson to Putnam section. It doesn't give details, but I wanted to pass this information along because it sounds like it might be going through.
Yeah,
Thompson.
Lyanne, they've passed through before, and they did in fact go through Thompson the last time. So if they're using the same course, then it would be also passing through Thompson this time.
After that, they ran down Route 12 and over, and then up Route 171 and over River Wash, by the laundromat area in the Price Chopper. We're going to do anything to help them this year? The last time that they came through was we went out and pulled down weeds. Oh, I'm getting some problems.
Yeah, we'll have to see as we go, Charlie, what we need to do to prepare for it, because weeds will grow. And obviously John is out there with some of us trying to keep the trails in order for anyone, not just that event. We will have to assess that when we get there.
Oh, this year we're gonna have a mower to work with too.
Hopefully.
Let me
hopefully.
Let me check my my past emails. I am pretty sure that they've already reached out just to let us know that they were coming again. I don't remember if they gave us a time frame for when they would reach back out. Let me double check for you.
They do need volunteers usually. I know I couldn't do it last year, but my wife and daughter did. Charlie, I know you were there, I believe. Paul was there, John.
I was
So
with the fire
yeah,
department.
they usually are looking for volunteers to help at the relay points and the crossings that they don't have state troopers covering the secondary crossings like through Lowell Davis or Sunset Hill.
Yeah, I wound up down in Putnam at 171. That's okay. I mean, the event was well attended. I don't know how it'll be attended this year.
Yeah, it was sold out for runners, and I don't know how many observers there were.
So there was
The,
pictures-
So
I didn't go get a beer.
according,
I could have, but something else was going on.
according to the email that Matt Anderson, who is their VP of Operations, sent to me, to Kelly, and Marie and Renee, looks like they hit all the town offices almost. Oh, they didn't get Leslie. They are planning on opening their registration near the end of April, so near the end of this month. They had sent route maps and a letter requesting that they return to the town for that date. So they are definitely coming through Thompson. That was going to be added to a Board of Selectmen meeting. I don't know if it was. That's Kelly's response in there. I don't know if it ended up on an agenda as a discussion point. Let me see. Looking forward to putting on events. After we've confirmed the date with all the municipalities, they'll begin the insurance process. And we'll also be sure to reach out to each community as our volunteer needs get finalized. So we are already, we and all the other towns are on their radar to circle back to for what they need for volunteers.
Are the
Last
fire
year-
department in any of that correspondence?
They weren't a part of that initial correspondence. I'm sure as things ramp up, that it would be probably beneficial to loop the departments in, particularly if there's any kind of traffic control needed or emergency
the last
vehicles
time they-
needed.
Right, last time they did it, we rode our gator along the course through Thompson to make sure there was no one hurt in the woods, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll bring it up at our meeting just so people are aware. We'll put it on our radar at least till we hear more.
Sounds good.
Mrs.
Sorry if
Lyon,
I sound a little thick-headed, guys. I've been homesick today, so working from home, so I'm a little out of sorts, but
Luann?
that I saw on Facebook that John and his crew got a bunch of work done on the trail over the weekend. What section was that?
Well, I guess we're on trail update, so it fits right in.
Oh, sorry. I'm
No, that's
sorry.
okay. We, so I want to say in the fall, we mowed from the Massachusetts line to 193. And then the work we got done yesterday was we went from where we ended by 193 to Lowell Davis Road.
Okay,
So really most of the trail in Thompson, because the other part from where we didn't go all the way to Mechanicsville, that was actually mowed last spring. So that it's a little bit higher there, but it's nothing like it's been in past years.
well, the HETAP team plans on assessing from Sandam to Lowell Davis, which is the last section we have left to do in Thompson. So
Yep.
that's on the agenda for Wednesday.
So most of that should be good for you guys to go because we mowed it in the fall. And I don't think there's been any trees told to me that are down in that section. I haven't walked it in that while. But, so you should be really good through there, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, John, I continued sort of on the project Sunday. I walked from Lowell Davis up to the new bridge. So there are no major issues. I know you drove some of that. There's still a lot of branches and stuff on the side. I was tossing it off to the trail, off the shoulders of the trail while I was walking my dog. But I also was in contact with Jess Bolte, Jess Bolt, I don't know how you say her last name, because she wants to have her scouts out there to clean up. And there is still a lot of trash, and we picked up some of what we saw, but under the 200 bridge, there's just a mess over there. And he was going to get some Cub Scouts too. And I also suggested that maybe they could continue just taking those branches further off the sides, just to do more of what we did on our end. So,
Nice. So again, I guess is the update. We got all that mowed and we got all the stuff off the side. We had to cut a couple trees that nothing that was actually up. It was all stuff on the side where the mower was going. So we got all that done. Like I said, so it's since last fall, it's done from the Mass line all the way to Lowell Davis. So that's good. So we're looking good on that trail.
I'd also point out that I don't think John or I mentioned it on the Facebook post, but we were able to move, and it was on our trails notes from the last meeting. We were able to move some of the rocks that were at the Lowell Davis parking area, created a little wider space. I was concerned about horses being able to get through with a sharp rock there that could have scraped their legs when they went through. And John also directed him to move the rocks back another foot or two. So there's a little more room for a car longer than a Prius to park perpendicular to the road. Paul's smiling because he had his Prius there. To park perpendicular to the road in that location, making it a little more accessible for parking. Like I said, about 3 weeks ago, I was shocked to have 3 or 4 cars parked at that location when there's so much more room elsewhere, but they are using it. And I can go back on camera now. Colleen didn't want to be on camera behind me. Here we go. So that was a big deal. We didn't do the stones in other locations, but while John's friend Logan was there with the equipment, we took care of that.
Well, I just want to say thank you to you all for doing all that work this weekend, and write down your volunteer hours, please.
We did. I did.
Keep track. Okay. Keep track of Logan's. Okay.
I will. I'll include them on mine. So also on trail updates, Paul and I get out on the Tri-State Marker Trail, the loop, and we actually put markers up through the whole loop. I think they came out pretty good. Again, the color was the same color that they've been marked before. We could have used a brighter color maybe, but it works. You can see them. Walking backwards after we had put up what we put up, Paul and I looked, and maybe there might be a few spots where we can probably add some, but I don't know. I'll take a walk through at some point in the future, and I'll just take my hammer with me and a couple extras and see if there's a spot where we need to add some. It was just, some of them were kind of far off. The first trail I've ever marked, so. But thank you, Paul, too, for showing up for both of those, helping me out. I appreciate it.
All right, I just want to mention something on that. So right now, the loop, we marked in blue, and if you start from where the airline trail marker starts to go, to go up to the Tri-State Marker, then it goes past the Tri-State Marker and comes back down on the right as a return path. One of the concerns I have, and maybe somebody can have some suggestions, is if you're following the blue markers up to the Tri-State Marker, when you get to the Tri-State Marker, the blue markers continue, but there's no way of people knowing where they go. That they don't know that they come back to the airline trail. They may think it goes all the way down the border trail or whatever. So I don't know how to, what to do about that, It'd be nice to have people come back down the other trail without having to back loop the same way they came, because we got a nice trail through there. So I don't know what to do about that. After any thoughts here.
When you're up at the top, you can't, if you don't think that people just look for more trail markers to go down. Yeah,
they may,
to continue the loop.
But they don't know it's a loop. They don't know where it goes. It's just blue markers that they're following, unless on our map or somewhere we show it's a loop trail that comes back, on the other side.
I think the map itself that's on the website shows it as a loop, and on the airline, it shows it as a loop, but we could put something on the kiosk, maybe?
Or
Like enlarge that section and show it as a loop?
I think there's already a map of the tri-state marker loop at the kiosk. I've taken some photos, but I haven't really looked at them.
yeah, but I guess
Um,
the question is,
There are other trails up through that area, though. They're all tied together. I've got Trail for Forks on my computer screen right now, and somebody has mapped out a mountain bike path that includes the tri-state marker, part of the loop, and then goes down the border. So there's several trails that are over there, and Connecticut Forest and Parks Association has a link off of their page that talks about their Blue Blaze trails. I don't know whether they cross through there or not.
so,
John says no.
I don't think, there's no blue blaze trails in there. The one we blazed is a dark blue, not the light blue blaze trail.
Yeah, and then I don't know what the Mid-State Trail uses.
they use a
use-
yellow triangle.
Okay.
All
I
right.
don't know how to get people to think unless you just make sure that the blazes are close
Well,
enough.
something we could do right now, the loop where it comes back, we put the blue markers on there, but there's nothing saying that. Maybe that should say, you know,
Tri-state marker.
tri-state marker loop return or something where you could, so they know that that goes there also. Because people don't know where that goes. Most people go up and down the, you know, the main path.
So even if only the sign that was right at the airline trail that says state Massachusetts and Connecticut, if right there it said, we had an additional note that said, take the whole loop, more people would know about it when they started in.
Or maybe at the other end, we put a post-it in and just say loop return or alternate or something, so they know that actually goes to the tri-state marker.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be perfect either. None of us are going to get fired because of it.
All right, anyway, and when we're done with this subject, I got another topic I want to talk about.
All right, let me just say before you do that, I think I'll have to check with Al Landry, but the sign that's at the bottom of the loop of the trail now, I think he had more posts and more trail signs, and I'll check with him because I think he's just stored them. And so the same kind of marker that's on one, we could put at the other entrance, exit, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
I'll find out if we have the posts and then we can decide if we need to make another loop sign that says loop or something like that. Okay.
Nice.
All right. Go ahead with your other.
Okay, so on a side note, I've been looking at making getting a new trail down to the culvert so that you don't have to go down a steep embankment. And I found a nice, easy way around there. Actually, it comes out, it goes to the backside of the stream. It kind of goes off with that airline, with a tri-state marker trail ends. And it loops down there and it goes back to the trail. Actually, I took a walk down there with John, kind of show him what I was looking at. What I like to do is maybe get together with people and do a walkabout and kind of show you what I was looking at and see if you think that would be maybe a possible trail. It's not steep. It's pretty easy. It's got a couple interesting features. It's got this huge stone wall. I call it the Great Wall. It's like, I don't know, it's probably 20 feet tall, and it goes up at a slope all the way to the top of the hill. And it's kind of cool because you can actually walk down the top of that, and it goes down and around to the, down to the backside of the culvert. So,
So why don't you set a date for that?
Okay,
and then whoever can make it.
so, I don't know, a weekend day was probably best, or an evening, or? Because I'm available anytime.
You want us to bring machetes and clippers
No.
and things?
No, it's all
Just
ready to
walk.
walk.
Okay,
It's good. So Karen, what are your hours? I'd like to have you go, and Brian, you
Monday night,
Monday evenings?
anytime.
Okay,
Well, yeah, but, oh, John, John already saw it, so he doesn't have to go. He's working.
Long as if it's an evening or something, I can probably go anyways.
Yeah.
It stays light later, so I mean,
all right, well, let me check my schedule, and I'll put something together and send an email out and kind of see what people think. We'll go, we could, if, you just park at the, the trailhead there, and it's not that far. Probably, I don't
less
know.
than a mile.
Yeah.
Loop all the way around.
So, all right, I'll set something up and see what we get. That's all I have.
Okay. Any other trail updates?
So I do have one that somebody asked me about, but I don't know what to do about it. So they're talking about trees being down on what's Blaine Road. You know where Blaine Road kind of turns, but this is the Corps of Engineers property, and they said they've messaged them and they don't do nothing about the trees. So the person asked me if I could mention something to trails, and maybe if something came from us asking about it. I haven't walked the area, but they asked, how do they get them cleared? They like walking on that road part there, and they won't, now they have to climb over trees. So I don't know if we can, maybe if we have a point of contact, we can ask them if that's something that they're gonna eventually move.
I do have a point of contact there, John. Is it something that they happen to send you pictures of? Because that would be the most helpful thing. If I could forward pictures over.
I can try and get up there. Well, I'm not going to I'll see if they can take some pictures and send them to me, and I can forward them, or I'll just give them your contact information to send them, and just say that you have a point of contact to send them to at the Corps.
Yeah, and I don't know what their limitations are in terms of manpower or whatever, but
Yeah. I mean, if we needed to get a crew in it or to cut
in the
something.
past-
Yeah.
Well, in the past, they've been pretty responsive, but there's new people there. So they may just be shorthanded, or it went to the wrong desk from wherever. So
They
it
have,
also depends
Yeah,
on how
we would
close to the river it is.
we would need permission to cut trees from them, but they might say fine.
I don't think they want us to. I had asked before for the turkey trot, and they kind of didn't want us to. I kind of secret squirrel turned back some stuff. But if this is big stuff across the road, I don't want to get anybody mad at us. So they might have an ulterior motive why they're not moving it. I don't know.
I think it's good if it comes from Tira, or if we need to if she needs to say that this, resident reached out to the Trails Committee, that they've requested it. And even saying, is there anything that we can do to help, knowing that they're going to say no, but
Prime the pump.
yeah.
Yeah.
well, I actually don't know that they're going to say. I mean, they might not want might not want residents cutting, but they might permit residents to clear what was cut. Once it's down.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's a good
Because
thought.
I had when Karen, when you and David and Amy and I went out and looked at the site for the potential re-addition of the Blaine Road Bridge, I recall talking to Ed a little bit, and he was saying, "Oh, all these trees have to come down. All these trees have to come down." Well, they're not going to want to leave those there, and if they're not going to haul them out, and people are willing to do it who heat with wood, for example, or have campsites that they want to take wood to. It seems to me that's probably beneficial for everybody, but obviously I would need to remind Ed of that conversation. He didn't seem opposed to it.
I'll ask for some pictures.
Okay, so If John can, and specific location if it needs to be pinpointed. Yeah. Okay, now Porta John discussion.
There was the email that came out last week asking if somebody would stop by and sign the paperwork as the department head. I was able to make it on Wednesday. While I was there, I happened to bump into Leslie, actually, as I was getting out of the car. But at some point, we discussed the fact that she will be ordering Porta Johns, and that at some time in the last calendar year, this group decided it would probably be smarter all the way around to incorporate our one Porta John with all of them that she takes care of, because if there would be any group discount, that would be the way to get it. I believe that I remember that as an over the winter discussion. At any rate, while I was there, I suggested that since we had approved it last year for 5 months of coverage, that even if necessary, we could always raise the issue in June or even in August and vote to extend the payment on one unit. So I suggested, as long as she was going to order all the rest of them, why not order that one as well? In the last hour, I was led to believe that I might have been unnecessarily optimistic, and I'm sorry if I was.
Charlie, I'm sorry, it's not up to that. We have to follow a town procedure, and you have to vote on something to spend money before you can spend it. That's all I'm saying. And just because we voted it last year doesn't mean
I would
voted
agree with you.
automatically voted.
Absolutely, and without any reservation, if it didn't take us until I signed the paperwork to pay for his last year's bill, it's not split second necessity that governs us as we're trying to be volunteers in the community. That's what I thought when I was there. I didn't know when I'd be back at town hall again. I didn't know when Leslie would be talking with the guy at Earthworks, and I didn't know whether he would have to load up a truck and make a special trip with one unit. I didn't know all of that. But I was trying to be efficient with time.
Okay, well, all right. All right, so just some facts. I talked to Leslie and she said she's only doing one unit, so there's no quantity discounts to be asked for. We need to decide how many months and how much money we're going to put into this. Last year, the unit didn't go up till June. But people are using the trail. So we have to decide, do we want it earlier? Do we want it, knowing that we've already spent a bunch of money for the trailer and knowing that we want a mower, we need to decide as a group, how many months do we want to have the Porta John at that one location? And then you had said something, Charlie, about another location. And so we would really have to discuss that.
So I have a question. How much did it cost us for the time that we had it last year?
Earthworks charges us $100 a month, correct, Charlie?
Yes, I believe that's what they were charging us.
So we did June to November, which was the $600 that we had voted.
Mhm.
This, if it go earlier, then it's going to be more.
Do we keep the same amount of money, but we put it out from May to October instead of November?
May 1 to October 1.
Well, wouldn't it be October 30th? Because you do May, June, July, August, September, October would be 6 months. So it would be up until the end of October.
I think, did you do 5 months last year or 6 months?
6.
Oh, June.
Well, we spent
Six.
$600.
Yeah, 6, yeah. There it is.
It was June and he billed us for November last year. And I don't know when, we were gonna ask him to go through Veterans Day and he billed us for November.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
by the month, even if it gets picked up in the middle of the month. So I agree with John. I think that I don't know, it's risky. I mean, you could have snow on the ground at the end of November, so you might not have as many people on the trail as you do in May. You know, I don't know. I'm just thinking, are more people going to be on the trail in May or November? If that's what you're really deciding, which month do you want?
I was up there after Veterans Day last year and before the end of the month of November was the first time that I had found the unit vandalized, sometime between when it would have gone and when he finally got up there.
So probably
Right.
because it's less trafficked. The other thing is that, you know, by putting in May, you know, you're going to have nice weather. And then if it gets to the end of October and this committee, you know, meets, thinks, hey, it's been really heavily used, let's add a month, then you can vote on it to extend it then. But
Yeah.
I want to go to $700, but I like John's suggestion of starting in May. I think that we waited until June because in May, things were still very unsure last year.
Yep.
So again, I'll make a motion that we allot $600 to put a porta john at the new road, or I don't know what you call that, new road in East Thompson Road parking area. The porta john from May 1st to October.
31st.
And John, we're gonna put up the handicap one like we did last year.
Same one we had as last year, I would think it would be.
So that was a nice unit.
Second?
I'll
Anybody?
second.
Second.
I'll second.
I know we spent a lot of money, but I think
All in
it's. real-
favor? Anybody
favor.
opposed? Okay,
I think it's definitely worth it. I think you, John, you were saying, I know it's a lot of money, but it's definitely worth it. The other thing is that I didn't go, you know, based on our last conversation, it's a local company. We're really pleased with them. I didn't, you know, try to nickel and dime or price check, you know. And they have been generous in the past to the rec department in donating a month here or there, you know. So that's something too, where if it comes to October and you're thinking maybe, well, the weather looks really nice in November, you could approach him in that way and say, you know, we've been really pleased with the service. We'd like to keep it on the trail for another month. Could you donate it or give it to a, you know, and do it that way and ask to extend it? Because that's what they've done for rec in the past, is done, you know, if we booked it for 5, they might give us the 6 month, you know, for free or something like that. So
Yeah.
okay, so now it's official. Charlie, do you have to go back to him about the dates? Or you didn't do it yet? You said you were
I
doing it.
didn't do it. I thought Leslie was going to handle all of the contact with Earthworks because that was the only unit.
I'm happy to message him. I have a contact. I have to message him about something else, so I can include it in the email that I'm going to send to him next week. And I can CC Karen on it. He bills us after the fact, so you're not going to have to sign anything until the invoice comes in at the end of the month. The thing I'll just make sure is that he knows in that email that maybe I'll do 2 separate emails just because I want him to know that invoice will go to Trails. But if it does come in and we see them both on there, he's usually pretty good about, you know, I mean, he's very good at billing. I mean, I think he's sending some to the school, sending some to DPW, some to us. So he keeps track of who's paying for what.
I believe he sent the bill to the attention of Economic Development Commission for last year, which was part of the reason that it didn't get processed.
Oh,
I also know he wanted to put down a concrete pad for that thing. And I said, no, because eventually there's going to be more work done there. So he was, I think, going to just put down gravel. He wanted it because when he rinses the thing out, he wants it to be pitched a certain way. But, yeah, so Leslie's going to contact him and that's done.
Yeah, I'll send him a message to start May 1. Same
Okay.
location where he dropped it last year. You want the exact same place?
It worked. It
Yep.
was a good location. As I said, the only thing is he wanted to adjust the pad that it was on.
So I'll go there and make sure it's pretty clear. Paul and I were just there, but I'll just make sure I'll stop by between now and in the next few weeks to make sure that it's clear enough to put that in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go down also, John, and maybe pick up some of that brush that's all around that tree and kind of clean it out a little bit.
Sounds good.
Thank you. I was going through last month's minutes and people were supposed to give Leslie a list for their Department of Public Works spring work. I don't know if anybody did that or
Yeah, I
if
got-
anything needs to.
I got a couple emails. I got one from Paul, and then I know there was a request to move the rocks, but it sounds like we did move those rocks, correct? Or is it different rocks? Different rocks. Okay.
So it is different rocks. I'll get them moved. I'm to do anything for us and hearing complaints about it. I have a friend who has a tractor and we can get them moved. It's just a matter of time.
Okay.
Because we asked to have those moved a year ago, 2 years ago, and nothing's been done since. So I'm not gonna lie, I don't want to ask those guys for even the time of day. So they do nothing for me.
Okay.
Everything we ask is really a burden on them, and I'd rather not burden them, and I'd rather just get it done myself.
I do know that there's plans to hire some summer help that were not hired last year. So I mean, that's somewhat hopeful to have some, possible assistance in the summer, but those folks won't come on probably until June. And then I got another request to Paul that I did send, but I'll revisit that. I can't remember what it was, Paul. I'm sure you remember. No.
The area around Sandam Road seemed to have better space for parking, but I don't know. When are they, no word on when they're going to work on the road, on the right of way between Sandam and Lowell Davis?
Tira or Amy might know the answer to that.
I would like to know because if they don't get it done by the end of April, they'll be on the street project.
I do not know what their early spring schedule is.
Oh, it looks like
Charlie, what are you looking for exactly? It's for the airline trail?
The airline trail, and especially underneath the overpass of I-395, is the worst section of the airline trail yet to be remediated. It has trap stone and it has drainage issues. And Richard knows about those issues. He told us that he would work on it last year, but then he got COVID-19. And the year before that, he had some legitimate street projects, roadway projects that he worked on and did a nice job. I'm hoping that he'll be able to get out there and address the drainage issue and get stone dust down. Or I did notice he seemed to be reserving a large pile of road milling, macadam material. And I think that would work as well as stone dust. So, but if he doesn't get it done by the end of April, he's not going to get it done this year.
So you said the section between Sandam and Lowell Davis.
Correct.
Okay.
Even without the stone dust, Charlie, you raise a good point, because again, we drove through that area and we were driving our utility vehicles, the trails committees and mine, and you're driving through 6 inches of water in some of those spots. Even when it dries out, it's going to be slippery mud, and we've got racers like the Rymacon coming through these areas, and it's a hazard the way it is. It really is.
Richard
is-
knows about that. He pointed it out to me. So I don't know, outside of the fact that we got hit with a pandemic and we got backlog of work.
Understandable, entirely understandable. I will say that right now, his major focus, we're trying to get 3 easements signed because there's a property on Brandy Hill Road. The house is being flooded every time there's heavy rains due to a drainage issue. So, you know, it's not, there's a multitude of things that Public Works is dealing with all the time. And if I had to choose between fixing somebody's drainage issue because there was road runoff that was going into their house or fixing a trail, I would choose that house. So there are more things that they are dealing with on a day-to-day basis, but I will absolutely inquire about this if it is a flooding issue, and I'll try to get some answers for you guys.
I will say I saw them working on, Amy, on drainage issues up here in Wilsonville. I saw them replacing things that keep trash and stuff from blocking the drainage under the road. So there was a big crew working on that issue today. So that was nice to see.
Good.
In my comments too, I agree that they do a lot of work. I'm just saying we've been asking for 3 years maybe for that to get done. That's all. And I would choose somebody's house first too. But every year it's something different for multiple years. That's all.
Because there's always things that crop up. We also have the 361, the former gravel operation where there's a culvert that's collapsed under the road that's going to have to be taken care of because there's infiltration into that little pond. So it's just it's just constant. It's constant. But I will absolutely talk to Rich about this issue between Sandam and Lowell Davis.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we're trying to do all we can. There's just some things that we don't have the capability of doing. So we could really use the help if we can possibly swing
Absolutely.
it.
I mean, I know, this committee does a lot of work for the trails, and it's an important part of Thompson. So I totally agree.
Anything else on trail specific maintenance?
Hey, Charlie brought up stone
Okay.
dust. Do we know about getting stone dust? Even if we had it, even if Rich had time, we still don't have access to it.
Yeah, I asked about that specifically and didn't get an answer back. I do know that they were getting it from the quarry in Thompson. And I do know that Maureen Nicholson over in Pomfret was talking about a TAP grant to pay for the stone dust on the remainder of her trail over there. And the TAP grants are all tapped out for the balance of this year. I think they'll be starting a new round before this calendar is over. That's why I thought he might have been stockpiling that material, which I think would work.
I think he uses that on some of the roads in town. I know he uses it up here on Lowell Davis on the section that has maybe never been paved or hasn't been paved in 70 years. I don't know, but last year he put some of that down, I believe, which really helped it get through the winter versus whatever was being done prior to Rich. It was a much better solution.
Hey, Karen, we're about 45 minutes off schedule.
I know. All right, I'm gonna just go to, the next item on the agenda is the Mower and Sustainable Connecticut crowdfunding, and I did contact them. And I just got an email back that the first reaction was it didn't quite fit what they were doing, but he was gonna take it back to a group of people and they didn't meet today. So he's gonna get back to me within a few days. And so if it is a possibility, I will let you all know, yay, and then we'll figure out a way to set it up. And if it's not, I'll let you all know. And we'll figure out another funding, so figure out some other way to fund it.
John,
Karen,
All right.
I assume that's Abe Hilding Solorio that you're, yeah, if you want to loop me in on those, I know Abe, and if it's a matter of sort of massaging the perspective on why it's valuable and why it might fit the match fund, I'm happy to do that. Also, it should be pointed out that, the crowdfunding is available to you whether or not it goes in on the match fund. The match fund obviously is you get where the highest bang for your buck, but you can still use the platform as a non-commercial entity.
Well, that's what I was thinking, is if they won't match the funds, we still maybe should do it an online fundraiser.
John, did you, you put the deposit down? Sorry if I missed it. You put the deposit down on the, trailer?
I did. I was waiting for that to come up on the list here, but I did put the deposit down on the trailer. I forwarded an email to Karen asking for an update because it's been about a month and a half. And she unfortunately couldn't give me an update because of materials and stuff. And the company that's building the trailer didn't have an update for her. So
So they don't have an estimate ETA on that? Okay.
they don't.
But the deposit's been put down.
Deposit's been put down. Didn't I send you the receipt? I thought I sent you the receipt. No?
Maybe I'll look back in my inbox.
You had asked me for it. So if you don't find it, let me know and I'll send you a
I'll-
copy. I have the receipt here.
Okay, the train wreck park project. Do we have any updates? I think it's Yukon coming back to us next, right?
Yes, yeah. Hi, everybody. Just gonna give a quick update, and as Karen said, we are waiting to hear back from Yukon about the date of their presentation. But our hopes for the presentation are to get the information, the drawings from Yukon, and then basically come up with 3 options for the train wreck park site. Option 1 would be just a few key improvements, maybe like a phase 1. Option 2 would be like a medium, kind of like middle class version of the train wreck park. And then option 3 would be the deluxe, high quality, all expenses type option. So I know there's hesitations, rightfully so, about putting in things like composting toilets that might be more expensive and require more maintenance, but that might go for that kind of luxe version, option 3, just in case you do come into like a big someday, Tira gets an amazing grant. That way you can fund kind of those big pie in the sky type amenities. So we will definitely show you those 3 options before the presentation. That way you get to see them and we can make changes before that happens. Tira and NPS are having a call. Our next call is April 14th at 11, if anyone's interested in hopping on that. That's our planning call. And then for youth engagement, we were able to connect with the Putnam Interact Rotary Club, who are very interested in doing an activity interpreting the train wreck site. So they are working on that now. And we'll also present those, whatever they create. It might be a piece of writing, it might be a piece of art. They will present those at the community presentation to give their perspective on the site. So that's exciting. We're going to hear back from Roberta on that, and thank you, John, for that connection. So that's working out nicely. And then one last thing, right now, Tira and the Park Service are working to create an action plan. So basically, that's kind of what we mentioned when we first started working with you all. It's basically a document that takes everything that we've worked on together and puts it all together. That way, mostly it's used for getting grant funds and whatnot. So I can show you that actually, if I'm allowed to share my screen.
Yeah, give me a second. Share screen is now allowed.
Okay, let's see here.
While you're doing that, can I ask when the youth engagement is going to be presented? Is there a date for a public meeting?
Oh, yes, thank you. So that is also what we're waiting to hear back from Yukon about. It's their finals schedule that has been causing the delay. Right now, we're hoping it'll be May 12th at 6:30, but we have to hear back from a couple of students at UConn. So we're a little bit anxious to get that date so we can start advertising the community presentation.
May 12th at 6:30, 6:30.
That's the tentative date, and hopefully that will work out. They should be done with.
But that's also the Putnam group at the same night?
Yes, so hopefully UConn and the Rotary Club, everyone presenting together. So we'll definitely keep you updated once we hear back that that date can work out.
Is that planned to
I
be?
double checked my sent emails. I did forward tonight's agenda to Joshua. He had it initially said he thought he could come in, but I guess it didn't work out for him tonight, which is too bad.
Is it likely that that event will be in person or online?
That will be virtual.
Okay, thank you.
And that I think will work well for the Rotary Club youth too. And for that presentation, it'll be the video that Charlie helped put together. We'll show that first and then probably do the youth engagement. So they'll present their projects and then we'll share the 3 options for the train wreck park. And we'll take any feedback from the public, which will go into our action plan, which I'm queuing up. This is just a draft right now, so it might look a little texty. Let me go back here. So yeah, like I was saying, this just basically puts together all the recommendations that we've been talking about. And it's good for showing funders to get grant funds. And then also, you know, if you all decide that you want to move to Florida or something, you could pass this along to someone to kind of carry the torch in the work you're doing. So hopefully it is a helpful tool. It's the Trailtown Action Plan. Starting off with just some thank you and acknowledgements. You should see your name here for all the work you've been doing. Moving into a land acknowledgement, just showing the tribal history of Connecticut. And then describing what a trail town is. So like we've been kind of saying all along, a trail town is just a fancy way of saying a town with a trail destination. So you just encourage people to not only see the Airline State Park Trail, but then go around and see the other things you have going on, like all the mill revitalization efforts, community gardens, the train history of the town, and then hopefully also visiting the local businesses and spending money there. So that's basically what a trail town model is. So that is kind of the framework for this plan. And we're pulling just together everything we've been working on so far. So the vision and mission, that's what we came up with the very first meeting that was in person before the pandemic, where we did the writing on the big sheet. So that's all in here. And then Tira has a lot of text around from the plan of conservation and development that she's put together already about all the excellent things that are happening in Thompson right now that grant funders should be very impressed with, including the new logo, the signage and wayfinding, current revitalization efforts like the mill revitalization, sidewalk plan, all these things that are creating this renaissance in Thompson. So we include that in here to kind of parallel the trail efforts. And we are hoping also that if someone is interested and willing, we're looking for maybe a 1-page write-up about the train wreck history to include in here, in case there's some good funding out there for train-related projects. So if anyone is interested in that, please do let us know. We'd love to include that write-up in here. And same with kind of trail related efforts that are happening in town, if someone is interested and willing to provide those. We can write them, of course, but I think it's always better coming from someone who is implementing those on the ground, which would be you all. So certainly if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, Lyanne, I did put your name in here to maybe provide some information from the last Green Valley if you're interested.
I'll see what I can do.
Thank you. And oh, any photos you have that are like really great photos of the trail, of events like Walktober, people doing trail work, we would love those to include in here. Or if you just happen to have nice pictures of Thompson, this is for everybody, that you think would be great to include in here to give this a little bit more excitement and character, we would love to have those. So please let myself or Tira know. So we'll talk about the songwriting competition, all the trail assessment works, and then the engagement with UConn and Rotary Club. And then we'll get into the 3 phases or proposals for the train wreck site. And then the last section is looking at how to work with local businesses to kind of promote this kind of cross collaboration of the trail as a destination, and then giving folks other places that they could visit when they come to Thompson. And then grant recommendations, marketing recommendations, which you're doing a lot already with the new signage and the logo and the Z brochure. So it's going that way already. All right. No, that was quite a bit of info, but any kind of questions, comments, concerns about that?
Steph, this is Lyanne. Can you send me just that section that you want me to write something up about?
Yes, thank you. I will definitely do that.
Thanks.
I'll make an attempt at writing something on the train wreck, but I'll certainly relinquish it to Paul or to somebody more knowledgeable. I mean, I'm willing to
Isn't
give it a try.
Isn't there something we can pick up from the Historical Society website?
I was gonna say
On the
there's
on the
already written. Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
the impression.
Yeah,
she was
we have a
looking for
lot of
some-
material that the Historical Society has provided, including the presentation that Paul narrated. That we played. We played it as a canned element in the last presentation, but they definitely have the story of the train wreck in several iterations.
Yeah, I understand that, but I thought she was looking for a one-page synopsis that that maybe would take all the stuff that Paul did and distill it down to her fingers. Look at it.
Well, a lot of
I mean,
that.
I wrote that. Go ahead.
So, go ahead, Karen.
No, I was gonna say, I had written something that we hung on the kiosk, and then except for some things you said or Tom Chase said were wrong, I mean, we could just fix that and use that.
Or also, I could send you the a soft copy of what I did with the trifold thing that I have at there, which kind of explains the whole site. I could send that to you. Would that work?
Sure, if that's already written up and easy, ready to go.
Sure.
That sounds good to me. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think we have to, approach this document as if we've never written any of this stuff before. I personally am definitely in the copy and paste phase of my career because I have so much of this stuff in so many grant applications. It's going back, pulling out the pieces we want to talk about, and then adapting it to the particular application. So there's going to be a lot of that. And each time you cut it up and paste it back together, you are saying it in a slightly different way. for a slightly different audience, but you just get better and better at telling those stories. So yeah, by all means, let's use what we already have that we know is good.
Yeah, so I got a soft copy. You go through and you can edit it out or whatever you want to do. So basically, it's probably a 2-page thing because it had some pictures and stuff in it. But
That
I'll send
sounds
that.
great.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's my update. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Steph.
True.
I'll tag onto it for just a second in that, because I don't think I've talked to this committee since I talked to Connecticut Humanities, but one of the things that we have been talking about for a while now is sort of the first tangible piece that we're going to have access to is going to be some of that trail signage. I did have a conversation with Connecticut Humanities about their quick grant program. Just as a reminder, those are grants up to $4,999 that they open up 3 or 4 times a year. There is a round that will close on the 5th of June, so it times out really well with the delivery on the UConn student stuff that I'm going to hit to take the EDC funds that were put aside for this fiscal year for the train wreck project, apply that as match funding, and ask for funds to do the design, background work for, I think I figured out probably 7 to 8 of the windows on the past, the big plexi see-through signs. It's a grant. You can't say, oh, we're absolutely going to get the money, but I had a very, very good conversation with Connecticut Humanities. It's right in the pocket for some other things that they've been doing with that program. And as he pointed out to me, the Northeast corner is underrepresented by grant funds to the region. So that works actually very much in our favor. So you can't say it's 100%, but I feel pretty good that we will get those match funds. Even if we don't, or if they fund us partially, we know that if $5,000 roughly will get 7 to 8, we'll get the design, and then our $4,000 that we have put aside on EDT would make the 7 to 8. You just cut it back, right? You just sort of put the money into as many of them as you can get, and then you have a starting point that you could maybe build on. So one way or the other, there's some signs going on that trail this year.
Is that just design or is that producing the signs?
Well, so because it's a match requirement, right? We have the EDC funds. I would probably request the Connecticut Humanities funds for the design of them, and then the local funds for the fabrication. But as I get deeper into pulling those numbers together, maybe I'll break it up in some other way that makes sense. But that's sort of what I have as a target in the back of my head. And I'll
Great.
probably start working on that next month. So.
Okay, moving on because we are getting late. We're
Thanks,
up to events.
All right, so I just submitted my event for Connecticut Trails Day for June 5th for the paddle behind the Knights of Columbus, or whatever you call it, drafters. I can't get used to drafters yet. So 10 o'clock I put it. They're gonna, it hasn't been approved by them yet. I just submitted it. So I put Thompson Trails Committee as the sponsor, I think is what they asked for. And I actually put the Last Green Valley down as the co-sponsor. It doesn't require anything, but I think it's good good PR to have us both on there. Again, they're going to do the registration and all that stuff, and I'll find out more once it gets I think it'll be approved. I don't see why it wouldn't be. So it's a 3-mile paddle, 1.5 miles up, 1.5 miles back.
So John, I'm
And
gonna.
do you have
Oh, go ahead.
a limit on the number of people?
Yeah, so if it's only one person being me, then you can have 15. If you want to do like a follow-up event or another, then you could have more people. So I can always add that. But I didn't know how you, I don't know, 15 people, 15 cars down at that little place where you put your boats in. It's really, I don't know how many more people you want to really kind of stuff in there. But I mean, maybe we could do an afternoon one if somebody was interested in doing it. I don't know if I'd be ready to paddle twice, although it's only 6 miles.
I'm gonna work with Joya Martino or put another hike together in Thompson. I think we just have so many trails and so many resources. We should. I was on the Connecticut Trail Day site, just trying to wrap my head around the organization. I didn't know too much about it, so now that I have a clearer picture, I kind of get that. So I'm gonna start the leader process and then plan something. And I'm going to contact him and see, well, what else are people already doing? You know, is something happening at the Thompson Dam? Could I do something at the Thompson Dam? Or, and I'll lead it with rec, and I'll list the Last Green Valley as the,
You can put as many hosts, I think, as you want.
co-host on it. And then I guess what I was reading is that on May 12th, the calendar will be put out with all the events. And so then I think that's our time to share. These are all the things happening in Thompson, or, in the area on that day, or check out Connecticut Trails Day and promote it, hike in Thompson, or, get out there and enjoy a trail in the, quiet corner in the Last Green Valley. So.
I also spend a lot of time on the website today and found out what John said about 15 includes the leader.
Mhm.
And we can have, Joaya Martino decided he really wanted to have a train wreck park event. And I said, okay, I'll take care of registering it. Now what I got to decide, and I've sent out a note to Paul and to Joe and a few others, but we can have it. They really demand that we do a lot about social distancing and about wearing masks, and they have some really good new tools. So they will, all the maps that we have on our website and descriptions about different places that you might find in town, those can be cross-linked to the Connecticut Forest and Parks site. That's the Connecticut Trails Day people. They are encouraging us to set up virtual walks or self-guided walks, so people can download the map and go, and it doesn't matter. They don't have to, well, all of Paul's stuff that he's got, they just download it and they go look at the site. They don't have to have a crowd of 15 or more.
So Charlie, you're going to register a train wreck site with Joe R. Martino and on this.
I'm going to. I've started the process, but I don't know how many leaders there are. I said I'd be willing to lead one group, but if we're going to have more than 15 people, then I can't present the history on it.
Right. I think it's fun. I mean, if you and Joe are going, and then, so that you can have, 13 people on it. I think it's good too. And to also kind of stagger the time, because maybe people who are coming out for the paddle would then want to, grab some lunch and then go on over to that, or go, or if I'm doing something at the Thompson Dam, they might do both activities, or just to have it different times. So
did either of you watch their Zoom meeting? They did the meeting in February and I missed the announcement.
Sent me some notes, some recaps. And then when I was on their website, I was reading like the frequently asked questions for leaders and kind of just trying to navigate it and figure it out. But I think if we're offering 3, Last Green Valley Trails and Historical Society and Rec offering 3 opportunities for people to come into Thompson and do a hike or a paddle, that's pretty good, on that day.
And I will say that the East Thompson Fire Department has a chicken barbecue drive-through that afternoon that starts at 4.
Smart. That's real smart. That's something.
Well, it's the same day every year, so we just got coincidental. It always falls on Trails Day.
I think too, I don't know, Lyanne, is the Last Green Valley do any Winnie promotions for CT Trails Day, or?
We have a continuous ad that runs for the Last Green Valley. I don't think we have anything specific for Connecticut Trails Day, but I know that Bill is doing a hike, but I can't remember where.
John, if I work something out and if I contact Gary O, you wanted to call in and talk about the paddle and maybe we can just get some time on Winnie on a morning call in and, I think just give an update about all the great things that Trails is doing and then also advertise those events.
So I would think, yeah, I would do it. If they're gonna do it, say, whenever they're gonna release the Connecticut Trails Day thing, because they won't be able to find any of it or register.
Right. Yeah, I'm thinking we'll do it like I'll ask Gary if we can be on that week before. And even if I think the idea too is, you can go on CT Trails and register for one of these events in Thompson, or we're just encouraging you to get out on your own and to go and hike,
On Trails Day, yeah.
trails on CT Trails Day. So I think it'd just be good for us to, get on. So I can send that email to Gary and see if we can get a spot on and that week. It's a call in, John. It's really easy. You just call in from home, 7 or 7:30 in the morning, 15-minute spot.
As long as I know ahead of time, I can definitely do that.
Yeah, if we have 3 things going that day, that'll be great. Make us look really good. I mean, we already look good, but even better.
All right. Turkey Trot? I know we haven't had a meeting, Brian.
I'm going to schedule a meeting for May after the Maker Faire. So I'll send that out probably in the next couple of weeks and see what people's schedules are. Maybe the first or second week in May. I did see an announcement from the Army Corps of Engineers today that they are taking reservations for the pavilion. So that's hopeful. They said they're taking them starting June. So I think that gives us a good sign that then we'll be able to be there in November. But if we meet in May, and I'm going to have an answer at that first meeting, if they're going to let us be there, I want to have an answer by then. So I'm going to contact them now. And if we don't have a yes from them at that first meeting in May, I want to just move forward and find another location and not wait for them. So I'll send that out and then we'll start to meet in May and start planning. We already have a commitment from Putnam Bank. So we already have our title. Well, Centerville Bank now, our title sponsor.
Okay. Tara, you wanted to talk about the Z-Fold brochure?
Yeah.
We're down to social. Yeah.
Yeah, we had our first project team meeting last week. Brian and Charlie are representing Thompson since they are on all 3 of the relevant committees: Trails, EDC, and Branding. It was good. We met or everybody else met since I knew them, the marketing consultant who's going to be doing the design work. So the upshot of the meeting is all the representatives from the municipalities were sent out with homework to compile, lists of assets and images, yada, yada. Now, the list of assets we have already, obviously, because we did the wayfinding study and we have all this background work. The images, I was looking through my files. I have 1 or 2. Renee sent a few. Charlie had a good point, which is that we have some very attractive pictures of locations, but we didn't have in the grouping that Renee sent out today any that actually included any people in them. So, high quality images of destinations, trail events, outside the interest of the Trails Committee specifically, but, the restaurants, shiny, happy people on sites here in Thompson that can be incorporated into the Thompson side of the Z-Fold map is what we're after. Like I said, the list of assets is easy, the text list, but assembling the images is a little more challenging. So that, and we're supposed to turn something back around to the design partner by the end of the day, Thursday this week. I mean, the world's not going to fall if we don't have all of our images, but we should be giving them something so that they can plug those into some mock-ups, which is where they're going to go.
John, you have a great picture of you with some youth and that hike you just did up to the you're like at the tri-state marker standing. Is that on the trail site or is it? You know what I'm talking about?
I think it is on the trail site. It might be from somebody else that sent it to me. I'll have to look through my phone.
That would be a good one to have on there. Smiley, happy people at the tri-state marker. Tara, I just saw that email today. I can definitely go through my photos tomorrow. Today was just a whirlwind of a day. I mean, I'll have some from events and rec programs, so I can.
Yeah, I've got a couple from the Maker Faire, which I think you had actually sent me, that are really good. You know, a lot of people, charismatic image kind of things. And, you know, remember that the point of the thing is it's a visitor's map, right? So you want to give that sense of visiting, right? People visit here, these places. So
Put that picture, the 500, the 50,000 nip bottles on that brochure.
yeah, that's not going to be one of the uses for that picture.
Great, it's a great picture, but maybe not for that brochure. Great picture.
Not for that one. Not for that one.
I
The
think
Connecticut Conference on Recycling is all of a sudden very interested in that picture again. But
Will we cross any issues with needing releases from anyone that appears in a picture?
Not everybody.
I would be very careful about including any children.
Yeah.
Any pictures I send you from rec, you're good.
Okay. Well, I know that you get those releases, Leslie, but not everybody does. I would be very, very cautious about sending pictures of kids.
Yeah.
I think that if we have most of the rest of the pictures selected, that May 1st hits, we get the last ones right there, because that's the kind of thing that I think we're really trying to build on. How big will the crowd be this May 1st? I don't know. How many pictures you can get without kids in it? I don't know that either, but I do think we can get pictures of that 11th village. Be good for us.
Yeah, Tara, I can
Yeah,
send you
if
some
the timing allows, if the timing of the production of it allows us to have stuff still coming in by May 1st, yeah, I'm all for it, Charlie. What were you saying, Leslie?
I was just gonna say I have some summer concert ones. Yeah, I'll get with you tomorrow. Find some good ones.
Very good. Yeah, so now that we're working on that, the time frame is going to be reasonably aggressive because the obligation is to expend or commit the funds from the ERTD grant by the end of the fiscal year on the 30th of June. So when we had that first meeting, Quinn and Harry were talking about maybe having the brochures in hand by the end of May. Just from my experience in the print industry, I don't actually think that's realistic. It's not impossible, but I think we need like a 3-week turn from the printer in their work queue. So, you know, things would have to snap into place very quickly in order to have a hope for that. But we'll definitely have them for Walktober, and you know, we'll have them to start rolling out probably in town halls over the summer.
That's great.
Okay, I don't know who's got the agenda in front of them, but anything else on social media, PR, outreach, maps, brochures and flyers, decals? Anybody want to add anything? Discuss, bring up issues?
Just quick on social media, I'll be real quick. I actually got to add Leslie and I added Brian on there so they can post on the thing. I don't know if there's a limit. I don't even truly know how I did it, but I got them added, I think.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, John, good job on the posts. The only other thing is that on Instagram, now our intern is now starting to use the town Instagram, and we're trying really on all of our photos to do hashtag ThompsonCT, so that we're and even on Facebook too, if you do both, because then it's searchable, so then we can find all those images later. Because if other people, like when I put it in, you know, other people are using that same hashtag and it's showing me their photos that they're taking at the dam or at, you know, our father's table or whatever. So just if you're posting on social media, on Facebook or on Instagram, if you just do hashtag Thompson CT also, then it'll just really connect us and, you know, work its magic like it's supposed to do.
On the brochures, John's aware of this. We have a couple issues with our brochure holders at the kiosks. So I don't know if John was looking into whether we had replacements. We might have to go
I
out
have
and
a couple.
order some more.
I have a couple left, new ones.
I think I've used all mine. I haven't been able to find, I thought I had one left, but we do need at least 2 right now.
Yeah, the top is off at Lowell Davis, and you said which other one?
Same, the top's off one of them at East Thompson Road.
I'll look and I'll just email you tomorrow. I'm pretty sure I have 1 or 2.
All right, if you do, then we'll get together and I'll get them from you and put them up.
Okay. Anything else on that? So we tabled a couple questions on the t-shirts. It looks like t-shirts, we're not going to take charge cards. And I think until we run out of t-shirts, we shouldn't talk about buying new ones with new logos yet. I don't know. What do you think?
Agreed.
Yeah, that's good.
People are still buying them in the town hall. They're on display outside my office. So people, when they walk by, they see them. And, you know, it's every so often folks will purchase them. I did mention to Brian today when he was in the town hall that if Trails wanted to have a booth at the Maker Faire or set up next to the Thompson Together booth to sell Trails shirts, that might be something to consider. So you guys, if anybody wanted to do that, you can just reach out.
When is that?
Last year, we just sold them from Thompson Together booths because I was there for that.
Yes, last year Thompson Together and Rex sold them for Trails, but this year we just have a couple of, we're selling Thompson Together shirts. And they're also doing some other things. It was a little chaotic in the booth that day. So if Trails wanted to sell shirts, you could certainly, you know, set up a table, and it's May 1st from 11 to 4.
Yeah, I actually tried to get into the Makers Fair and it was full already.
I can hook you up, John. Come on.
No, because I'm actually having hand surgery next week, and if I'm not going to be able to make enough stock of stuff, so I have a friend of mine that has one in there, and he's going to take the stock I already made and just use it. So I'm
Awesome.
good. But I'd be able to help do some shirts. I mean, if there's a space, what do I need to get?
Yeah,
You just need to let me know you're coming and bring your own table. If you want a tent, you can bring a tent. Otherwise, you just need to bring a table and then pick the shirts up on, you know, before the event from the rec office. And I guess, you know, figure out how you're going to have change and whatnot and your own signage and do all that. So.
Okay. I can do that. I got to be
so
there.
after, I was gonna say, if we don't sell them all at the Makers Faire, then we can talk about whether we want to have somebody at the parking lot for the before the paddle, or, you know, on Connecticut Trails Day, if we want to take shirts, somebody take shirts. I don't want to have, you know, be an extra person with the 15, but, you know, figure out how we could do that to have shirts available for those other events.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think that having an extra person does not go on the event is okay. It's they're just another leader, and we don't have 14 more people for them. So if somebody was going to sell T-shirts and then not go on the kayak paddle, or if they were going to, you know, sell T-shirts and not go on the train wreck thing, that's okay. I don't see any problems with that. And John seems
Oh,
to
maybe
be.
maybe I can do it, or Lucille will be interested if that works. Okay. Anything needed to be, it's 8:42. Anything need to be reported on trail census, the 12 town task force, wayfinding grant, other towns?
I checked the battery a few weeks ago, got everything cleaned up around the kiosk and that. I do think that there's a lot more fire risk in the underbrush up that area than I had been aware of. And today I got another national weather report thing saying high fire hazards. So I think we should concentrate on cleaning up that whole intersection, seeing what we can do with it. I know we can grind it up and throw it right there. I don't know, Tara can answer better than any of the rest of us if we can take that, what's been run through a tree chipper, can that be taken over to Fort Hill?
No,
No?
it cannot.
Okay,
No.
then we just run it out there underneath the area and on the path itself, but we got to get that, I think we got to get it under control before it gets fire on us.
I'm going to say that I don't disagree with you on a lot of that, but that was all put there when they cut all the trees and stuff down in the area. So when the state came in and did it, and then when those trucks cut all the trees on the side of the road, and now, I don't know, it just feels like we're going to bear the burden of, I don't disagree with getting rid of it, but we got to rent a chipper, which is not very cheap. And you can chip it right into the woods, but I'm just saying, I mean, I don't know what's going on with the train pack site and the 3 tiers. I mean, wouldn't that be part of that? I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm concerned from the standpoint of visibility and the standpoint of fire risk. And it's on a trail. So it's trails maintenance. It's an issue. The 12-town task force is meeting, but that's mostly the committee that's dealing with the Z map. And someone made a comment recently. John talked about the chicken barbecue, and it just happened to be that day. That's something that the 12-town task force and the Z map committee, and as I understand it, we're looking for ways that we can maximize the impact of an event. Lyanne told us about the Rymacon relay, and so they're coming through part of our area, and we should be finding ways to attract crowds to us and to find our other resources. The bicycling event that took place out of the Thompson Speedway over the last weekend didn't have as many people as it did the first year, but it had social distancing and it spread out, and it looks like it's going to pick up momentum and go. Trails Committee and at least the 12-town task force area, I think, should be looking at signage on that route so that it becomes a bike route, a bike trail. And that, as Tara said, we have homework to do for the map. When I think about that map, I was trying to figure, is this like a newspaper front page, or is this like 32 different ads or 85 different ads that are all as big as a credit card? I don't know. I don't know what it's going to look like. I asked questions about that. It's still fluid. That's okay. We decide that.
I'm going to make a suggestion that when Paul sets up a meeting and we're all over the parking lot, that we look at the brush problem and maybe look around, make an assessment,
Okay.
just so we remember to do it, because that'll be soon that we'll do the meeting. Any other business?
I sent an email to this group and a few extras. Sorry, Karen, about a small gathering in Riverside Park this Saturday, April 10th, for cleanup day. So it's just a Thompson Together and Rec are just organizing. And it's not a big thing. We just sent it out to some, to some groups that we know have a vested interest in the trails and parks in town, and are inviting folks to come out from 9 to noon on this Saturday, April 10th. If it's raining, we're going to do it on Sunday, and we're going to do Riverside Park, and then exactly the trail we're talking about, go back past the library, and continue across the road behind the mill and down to Heritage Way, and do that section for cleanup from 9 to noon. As you all know, many hands make light work. So even if you can come by for an hour or half an hour to help clean up Riverside Park to get ready for the Maker Fair and 11th Village, that would be great.
Okay, thank you.
I have one other business that I guess I could have talked about earlier, but we do have crosswalks painted at Sandam Road and we have it at East Thompson Road. We still do not have one at 193. But I think we could do with a little bit better signs that, for example, it doesn't say that pedestrians have the right of way or, you know, there is a sign that it shows a pedestrian. When I was up there checking the counter, I thought that cars coming down the around heading south didn't stop for me. But then I could hear him coming, so I didn't even step out, but I don't know. We could use that one more at 193.
Okay, that's got to go on Rich's list.
So
Well,
thought that was a
that's
state
a
road.
state road, so Rich may not even have the
Well, that one,
jurisdiction.
193, yeah, 193 is a state road. The other two are locals. And he put up the signs, and that's good. The A sign is better than no sign. I did think that it was could be a little safer for pedestrians too. Nobody got hit yet. Move to adjourn.
Okay, I'll 8:49, second.
Second.
That was Brian. You're too late, John.
That's on
Leslie,
the
I'm not-
recording now.
Uh-oh, I was sending some pictures. I'm sorry.
Okay.
What were you saying? What were you saying, John? What was that? Oh, you were sending pictures. That's good. Great.
Well, I'm sending them to you because I don't have Tara's email, so, and I'm not gonna be
Yes,
quick
you
enough to
do.
type it.
You've emailed things to me before, John?
Just planner. It's planner at Thompson. I know it gets confusing because you go to type in Tira and then
Yeah, it's planner. That'll take her to her work desk.
Okay,
but you can send them to me. Either one, it's fine. Same place.
Stay safe, everybody. Good
Good
night.
Everyone.
Care,
thank you.
you all.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
Night.
All right.